This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here for the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. And unfortunately, our typical co-host, Maya, is not here today, but fret not. We have someone else here to join you that you may recognize from previous episodes on the podcast. Celine, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Celine Vasquez. I'm a senior at USC studying biomedical engineering, and I'm from Montebello, California.
All right, Celine, thanks for jumping in here. And I understand you've brought us a whole new episode of your own. What's this episode going to be all about?
Yeah, so essentially it's just seniors at USC Viterbi giving advice to freshmen at Viterbi. So it's essentially an episode of just freshmen expressing like things that they're thinking about as they're entering college and in their first semester, and then seniors reflecting on that experience as well and giving them advice. So it was really fun.
So you have both first year students and seniors talking. So how many people are on this?
There's 4 people total. Okay. So it's 2 and 2.
All right. So 2 first year students, 2 seniors talking about the problems. Can you give us a little preview? What are some of the problems or the ideas that the first year students are thinking about?
Yeah, so right now, first year students are thinking about research is a really big one, how they're going to get involved in a lab on campus and that looks for them, and also choosing a lab and if they want to stay in a lab for their entire time at USC or if it's okay to switch labs during the time. So concerns like that, and then seniors just giving them advice on that.
I have a feeling most of the pieces of advice are similar veins of calm down. You don't need to worry about most of this. Yep. It's usually like the spoiler alert for any type of senior advice. First year students freak out all the time about everything, and seniors are like, no, it's fine. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, housing was also something that came up as well.
Okay.
So for the future, like off-campus housing, what that looks like. And then again, seniors being like, it's fine.
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
Really nice. Yeah.
It's fine. All right, cool. Well, let's get out of the way and hand it right over to you to have this discussion about first year students talking to seniors and how to calm down and have a good time in college.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. So today I have 4 of my friends with me, and I will just go ahead and introduce myself first. My name is Celine Vasquez. I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering, and I'm originally from Montebello, California. And my favorite food in LA is probably La Azteca. They have really good breakfast burritos. And so whoever wants to go first can introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony Mouchouar. I'm a BME senior with the molecular cellular emphasis, and I'm from Santa Clarita, California. My favorite food in Los Angeles is Sonora Town.
Hello, my name is Grace True, and I'm a senior studying electrical and computer engineering. I'm from Danville, California, and my favorite food in Los Angeles is probably Portos or Pasta Sisters.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Gerson Estrada. I am a sophomore studying biomedical engineering with an electrical engineering emphasis. I'm originally from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and my favorite food, or one of my most common spots I go to, is called Los My Taco. And yeah, I just get a burrito there.
Hi everyone, my name's Dominic. I'm a biomedical engineering major with a molecular cellular emphasis, and I recently added a minor in healthcare studies. I'm originally from San Diego, and my favorite food in LA would probably be BCD Tofu House.
Okay, so essentially in this episode, what we're going to be doing is we have 2 underclassmen with us. So that's Gerson and Dominic, and then 3 upperclassmen. So it's Anthony, Grace, and I. And we're just going to be going over the general worries that underclassmen typically have. And then we're just going to have our seniors give some wisdom if we have any to share. So our first question for our underclassmen is just, what classes are you taking right now that might be difficult for you? Or what classes are you nervous about taking in the future?
Yeah, I mean, the only real class that I was worried about was BME 202, because everybody was hyping it up. But I'm currently taking it right now, and honestly, it's not that incredibly bad. Yeah, it's just work, but it's like nothing crazy. I mean, yeah, that's the only real thing that I can think of.
Have you done the project yet?
That's funny because I'm currently in the process. It's due in like what, 2 days? So yeah,
Making
right
it
after
in
this,
2
that's what
days.
I'll be doing.
Yeah, maybe your opinion will change by Sunday, but good luck.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
I'm also scared of taking 2 next year, and then probably OChem as well.
I know Anthony loved OChem, right? It's like,
Yeah, I was actually good at it. Um, I I feel like the classes that I struggled with were not the classes I thought I was going to struggle with. So BME 202, OChem, both A and B, I did pretty well. I I liked OChem too, personally. Like it just was a subject I found I was pretty good at intuitively. Um, the classes I ended up struggling with the most were what I also had really bad study habits was BISC 320. And as someone who likes bio, I was not expecting to have a hard time in that, and I severely underestimated how much effort I actually should put in that class. Um, which I kind of corrected with biochem at BISC 330, but that was probably the worst class. Like I kind of expected to struggle in physics because I didn't take it in high school and I already just didn't like it going into it. And it was like it met that expectation, but Mobile or BIS 320 was the only class I've taken where I went into it thinking I'd be fine and then did not take it seriously and then struggled because of it.
so the takeaway is to take BIS 320 seriously.
Yeah.
So just study
Or
and
take 312.
or 312. Yeah, I would say that BIS 320 was definitely one of the hardest classes I've taken. But you'll be fine. And I know you guys have to take physics 152 as well, which is hard, but I feel like it was a fun class, which is kind of weird. But also our SI leader was really nice.
Yeah. I think one piece of advice, just a lot of the classes that you take as an underclassman that are known to be really hard are those introductory classes. And that's true for all majors in EE and a lot of the Dorn Sci ones too. Where you're taking either like the chem series, bio, physics, or any of the math classes. And I think my number one piece of advice is to use SI, which is a supplemental instruction, if you guys haven't heard of it, because it's a really good time for you to be taught content by someone who's recently learned it. So I think a lot of the questions that you have as a student, they're more equipped to answer than a professor who's maybe taught this a million times or like doesn't struggle with it at all. And I think it was something that really helped me in those classes. And it also kept me on top of what I should be learning like at the end of each week, because it's like a weekly review. And so it kept me a lot more prepared for exams. And I really miss it. And I wish that my like 400 level classes now had it, because I think my life would be a lot better. So use it while you have it.
Just to build off what Grace is saying, I think it's kind of true with most STEM majors, like those early kind of general science prep courses end up being some of the worst ones that you have to take throughout your 4 years. And I guess this kind of explains some of my issues with mobile and lack of in OChem. I took SI. I actually did go to SI regularly for OChem, somewhat. Definitely the review sessions for the tests, and those were quite helpful. And the review material that the OChem SIs create is pretty good for practice, and I didn't for mobile. So go to SI if you can, especially test reviews, because those are the most helpful sessions by far. So if there's like a minimum takeaway, you're not going to go to SI every time. Just do those.
Awesome. Okay, we can move on to the next question about research, which I feel like is something that is on a lot of underclassmen's minds. So Gerson, Dominic, research, are you thinking about it? How has the process been to try to get into a lab? And like what fields are you interested in right now?
Yeah, so I'm currently I've started a research position at the biomedical microsystems lab. Um, yeah, so I'm not really sure as to where that will go, but I'm excited.
That's awesome. Is that on the health science campus or
No, that's the BME
BMU one? Awesome.
department. Yeah, yeah.
Gerson, who's the PI?
LS Meng. Yeah.
Oh, she's really cool. I took BB 451 with her. And she's really nice.
Oh wait, that class looked really cool. I
Yeah.
remember you liking her.
Micro devices, and I mean, it was like a lecture lab situation. But you learned a lot in that class. So I think she'll be a good PI.
Dominic, what about you?
Mm, I definitely should reach out to more like professors about their research. I only emailed Dr. Zabaleta about it. Was able to meet with her, but I'm pretty sure her lab's pretty full right now. But I'm definitely more interested on like the molecular side of things in regards to BME. Just more like diagnostics and nanomedicine in general. And yeah.
That's really cool. I think there's like three research professors who have really amazing research in like the nanotech side. So there's good options with an interest in that.
Yeah. And are you guys looking at any funding for research? Like, are you looking at any programs at USC where you can make money while doing research?
Yeah, so probably like Curve is like the biggest thing. Um, yeah, I'm gonna apply there because I know they do like a section just for like funding, apart from like the research portion of it. So I'll probably be doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, especially for freshmen, when you're looking at labs, say just be patient. I know it can be overwhelming at times, but you'll end up finding the lab that's right for you. And don't be afraid to cold email professors, even though I know sometimes it doesn't work out, but I feel like that's one of the best ways to get into a lab, and that's how I got into my research lab.
Yeah, I think for me, I was in two research labs throughout my time at USC. The first one was it was like tissue engineering, which was really cool, but it's just not what I wanted to do. But that position I got through Curve, which is a really great option because they can pair you with a lab if you don't have one, or if you do have one, they can just provide funding. And either way, you get funding, which is fantastic. And then the second research position I found in a pretty different way. You guys probably see emails from your advisor coming through pretty often. They'll generally send them like once or twice a week, and it'll be like specific to your major. And I was just reading one of those, and there was an open position in a lab that they had, and it was privately funded through the lab. And I ended up applying to that and then got the position. And so I think that's another really good way to come across these things is actually just to like read emails. You'd be surprised by how much like really good opportunity is in the stuff that people try and send to you and try and get you to read. So if you're looking for more opportunities, a lot of times they'll kind of just like fall right into your inbox. So read them.
All right, so moving on to internships. I know that's another thing that underclassmen are also worried about. And I'm looking at Gerson and he looks visibly stressed. So I feel like that's something that underclassmen are thinking about, especially because a lot of sophomores are looking at internships, especially in BME at companies like Medtronic, Abbott, Edwards. So are you all thinking about internships right now? What companies are you interested in? And what does that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously like the well-known companies. I think you mentioned like Medtronic, Abbott, Edwards. But I definitely need to apply to more. I've been kind of in the trenches with all my midterms. I know Celine knows. I've gone through it this week, but yeah, I definitely need to apply to more, which is something I'll be doing very, very soon. Um, but yeah, I'm just applying, currently in the process of applying and just hoping something pops up.
For me, I've also been trying to like apply to internships as well. I applied to like two at 1 a.m. like the other day. But I've only been looking at like more biologic side. So like there's this company near my house called Neurocrine Biosciences, and then also Gilead as well. and their Oceanside location because they're more focused on R&D and biologics. But I know it's like really hard for freshmen to get internships as well. So I'm not really expecting that much. I'd also wanted to maybe save my like experience in industry later, try to get research opportunities over the summer or take more classes to fulfill some of my other requirements to free up more space in my schedule, or maybe just like chilling over the summer. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of freshmen are worried about internships, but I feel like there's a lot of other things you can explore as a freshman. So I know Anthony and I did research over the summer after our freshman year, which was really good to see if research is something that you want to do. Because doing research over the school year isn't the same as doing it over the summer. You just have more time to dedicate to your project over the summer. For sophomores, I know internships are like looming just because you want to get a return offer for great. Just because you want to get a return offer for after junior year. But I would say I know USC does a really good job about bringing a ton of companies on campus, but I know a lot of students tend to focus on like the big three that I mentioned, like Medtronic, Abbott, Edwards. But I think it's important to know that there's a lot more than medical devices that you can do with a BME degree. So like I recommend applying to like pharmaceutical companies if that interests you, or like biotech companies. I know a lot of BMEs do like consulting internships too, if that's something that interests you. So just like expanding outside of like what is often applied to by students in the BME department.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of people get really fixated on kind of like the big 3 or 4 companies and BME specifically. I think the same is true for other majors and like big tech and things like that. But there's a lot of opportunities that are still amazing, and will still give you fantastic growth if you look for them. And to that end, I think especially when you're a little bit younger, like kind of that freshman, sophomore age range, and you're looking at summer opportunities, it's super valid and in some ways almost more beneficial to take a class to try and get ahead if you're trying to add a minor or something. If you think you might want to do PDP down the road, to take a class to open up credits for that in your like junior, senior year. You can also benefit because you could do things like the research opportunities. There's also like RUs, which are another way to get involved in research at other schools if you want to also experience living somewhere else. There's lots of different options for things to do over the summer. And I think internships are really great. I had 2 internships in my time in college, both of them at Medtronic, which is a really great company with a really great intern program. And so I do recommend it to people, like definitely apply. But if it doesn't work out, especially in your younger years, there's plenty of other opportunities.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at other stuff apart from like internships, such as I know there's like programs like not Curve, Serve for Sure, um, that I can do at other universities. So that's something I'm also applying to. Thankfully, the application deadlines for those are a little bit later, so I can space everything out.
Yeah, I regret not doing an REU. Is that what you're talking about, like the undergraduate research experience, like at other schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, I regret not doing one of those just because I feel like it's a good way to explore different research at another school and like see if, especially if you want to go to grad school, to see if that's something that interests you and if that environment is an environment that you like to do research in. So I feel like that's a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good option. I think a lot of them are also funded.
Yeah, you get like, I don't know how much. I want to say like $5,000.
Yeah, a couple thousand. And I think maybe housing. I don't know totally all the details, but it's cool.
And I know, Dominic, you mentioned taking classes over the summer, which I also recommend. I know you're taking Calc 3 right now, but that's how I got out of taking Calc 3 at USC. Grace and I took it together at Long Beach City College.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper. So if you want to get one of those requirements out of the way, I think you can also do physics, which might be a little harder. I know you can do OChem, but I recommend it. It helped lighten my schedule, which was really nice. Okay, and then my next topic is housing. So I know that underclassmen at USC are guaranteed 2 years of housing. So underclassmen, where are you living right now? And I know, Gerson, you're probably looking for off-campus housing for next year. So where are you thinking? How has that process been?
Yeah, so I'm currently living in Callings and Ilium. Um, but in terms of next year, that's kind of been something I haven't really been looking at, I'll be honest. I've been thinking about it, but maybe not looking at it. No, but yeah, that's definitely something I will do very, very soon and figure out what's going on there.
Right now, I live in McCarthy. I actually love it here because it's just like you have your own bathrooms, which is nice, and then the dining hall's like right below us as well. Um, and hopefully next year I can get into Ilium. But beyond that, I haven't really like thought about it much. Definitely worried about it, especially because like I know some like software friends who are like actively trying to look for leases right now, and I'm like that's like kind of early. And uh, but I heard like people pass their houses down, which is cool. So hopefully when that time comes, I can hopefully have someone pass their house down to me or something once I'm an upperclassman.
You want to live
Wait,
here?
I just had a brilliant idea. Celine, you're graduating.
I am. I passed my house down to a group of Helenes.
No.
We've
Okay.
had people touring this house like you cannot believe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dang.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're taking the whole house, and I feel like in the future they'll also pass it down to Helene's.
Yeah.
If they don't, then you can look into it.
Okay.
But
Definitely.
yeah, the housing situation after sophomore year, I lived at Gateway. If you ever don't have a place to live, like I feel like Gateway usually has spots open, and it's a nice option. It's like really close to campus. And it was nice living there. I lived with Grace, with two other people in an apartment, and it's like two bedrooms, and then two people per room, and then two bathrooms and like a living room situation, which was nice getting away from the village. I feel like as an underclassman, it's nice being in the village because you have like that safety net. But I feel like once you're an upperclassman, you kind of want to get away from school and feel like you're away from school when you're like trying to relax at home, which is what Gateway gave me. But now this year, we were really lucky to find a lease at a house like off campus. It's on Menlo. There's like three streets that are really popular to live on. It's like Menlo, Orchard, and Ellendale. So we got lucky to find a house on Menlo, and it's been even better just like having, I don't know, it's just so nice. Like you have a backyard, like there's a lot of people that I know that live on the street. So it's just been nice as a senior having that. But yeah, I know the process can be really tricky. We got really lucky, so I feel like we can't really speak to the the process of applying to a ton of houses, but I did have like a giant spreadsheet with like where I wanted to live. So it's a process and you do have to do it early because our house already got signed and it's only November.
I can talk for a little bit, I guess. I also live at Gateway right now, mostly because my roommate group and I did not find a place to live further off campus. In general, like Gateway is a good safety net, and one of the things my roommates that I've kind of lived with since sophomore year they really emphasized is that it is a guarded building, and their families were pretty worried about security. So this kind of gives them that peace of mind. Like it is a managed building. They're not that far off campus. It is still basically across the street from campus. So it is a good option if that's what you're looking for.
And there's a pool.
Well, you can't swim laps in it. It's like a wading pool.
Grace and I went in there multiple times last year.
No way.
We went in once.
We went in once. It's literally like
It's like
It, like,
what?
mid-thigh deep. I think I just waded.
It goes up to like your like barely past your ankle, right?
I feel like it was more like knee. But we were just walking. We were not swimming. Like I was in clothes. We were just hanging out down there.
Yeah, you cannot swim in that thing. It's
To try it though. It's relaxing to just wade in there.
This
And
year we have a hot tub at our house, so we've upgraded.
We
have you
upgraded.
used it?
A hot tub.
Yeah. Grace uses it. I do not.
Mhm.
I don't like hot tubs.
Probably
I don't like the idea of being in warm water, like just sitting there. I don't know. But we have a hot tub. So if you ever want to come use it, we have it. All right. So moving away from housing, just reflecting on your time in your program. So for most of us, that's BME. For Grace, that's both BME and electrical engineering. How has that been for you? How have you liked it so far? And then for our seniors, what are some things that our underclassmen can look forward to in the program?
I don't know. I haven't really like been here like a long time. Also, but I really like how like interdisciplinary BME is, and how there's like a bunch of different avenues that you can explore with BME. It's a very like different major across like all the emphases. And I like how we get to focus on a lot of different sciences because I'm very indecisive when it comes to like I guess my favorite science, except for physics. Don't like physics, but yeah, I really love how interdisciplinary it is, and I like how like small our major is, but at the same time, like how tight knit it is. I feel like the BME people here are not to like hate on the other majors, but I feel like they're the most collaborative and the most like outgoing people. And I guess, yeah, our advisor is really nice as well. I heard he's the best. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely agree with that, especially when it comes to all the people, as you mentioned. Um, Especially this past semester, I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people, such as the people that I'm talking to right now. Um, Along with that, I would say it kind of goes in line with my electrical engineering emphasis is realizing how um, so much of the human body can be represented through electrical systems. I know in BME 202 right now, the whole class has basically been just using Excel, and I think we're about to use MATLAB to model a neuron. Yeah, so that's been a big thing for me. One of my favorite things.
Yeah, I feel like you both touched on something that I was going to say you have to look forward to in the future is just continuing to develop the friendships with people in your major. I feel like there's something really special about BME and how close we all are, especially with ASBME as well, which is the Biomedical Engineering Club. I feel like it's just been really nice to have a community within your major, which I feel like a lot of other people don't have.
I guess I can go. In terms of classes, I think once you kind of get past the general sciences, you start to kind of exclusively take BME classes or upper level engineering classes, depending on your emphasis, and then it gets more interesting. Uh, you care more, quite frankly, because the classes are more closer to your interests. Um, and yeah, I agree. The community within BME is has always been very strong, and it kind of helped everyone, at least hopefully, kind of grow and learn as a part of this community. Uh, as a student at USC, so I am very grateful that I'm a part of this undergraduate community, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was BME up until like junior year, and then I switched my major, which is pretty late to switch your major. And I switched to electrical and computer engineering. And because of that, I feel like I've been able to see both kind of facets of that part of a Turby. And I feel like within both, I've definitely had things that I've loved. I have to say, like the people in BME, if you can't tell from the fact that I'm on a panel with all of them, I've stayed really close friends and really close with the people in the major. And a lot of it just because I think that they're some of the best people. And I really liked them. And so I really wanted to keep them in my life. Even if I wasn't in classes, I'm still really interested in med tech. I still want to go that route. And so being close to the major, close to the people is really nice. And then I think on the other side, kind of in the electrical engineering side, some of the things that I've really appreciated are I feel like it's answering some of the questions that I've always had about life. And BME does this too, where I think in BME you get a lot of answers on how things work in the body, how things work, like actual devices, like life-saving treatments, things like pacemakers, ablation devices, and so on. And I think on the electrical engineering side, I'm getting questions answered, but it's more things like how computers work or how networks work, how the internet works. And so being able to kind of the questions that are really hard and have a lot of background, I think especially being an upperclassman and being able to finally see why it's important that you learned like that random physics class or like that random concept in chem, and seeing it all come together to answer some of like the bigger questions that you probably have had about how our world works has been like one of the most magical things, kind of as I've gotten further and further in my career into harder and harder classes. The downside is that my classes are kind of killing me, but the upside is that they're really interesting because you can see it directly applied to things that you might want to do in the future.
Awesome. Okay, we can wrap it up with our last question, which is just going to be the same for everybody, which is what makes you anxious about the future? Yay, future. I know our seniors were graduating. So I feel like that's been on my mind a lot, but our underclassmen, what are you thinking about for your future at USC?
That's a good question. I feel like it's so many things. Um, right now, I can't really pinpoint one thing because it's been so many things like my grades, my job, grad school, everything, life. So it's a lot, but I'm sure I'll get through it, just taking it one step at a time. Um, yeah, for example, like next, once I finish this project, the BME project, I'm probably gonna start keep applying to stuff. Um, and yeah,
For me, I would say like just keeping up my grades in general. Also being a pre-med student, kind of scared of like getting lower grades, I guess, and just trying to be the best applicant I can to grad schools as well. Um, Honestly, I haven't really thought about the future that much. I just go on a week by week basis. Like if I make it to the end of the week, it's good. Like now I'm very scared for my chem midterm because I haven't really been paying attention. So we'll see where I go on that. But in the general scheme of things, um, I also worry a lot about like where I'll end up in the future. Like maybe I say I'm pre-med right now, but definitely that could change down the line. So kind of what my future would hold. But I just tell myself like everything happens for a reason. So um, hopefully I'll end up in a good place soon.
Yeah. I feel like all of those concerns like don't, or I guess they do change as you get older, but you're still concerned about things and like don't know what you're going to do next. But I feel like as you become an upperclassman, you just get better about handling change and like reacting to it. So I feel like as an underclassman, like I was scared about all of that, but I like didn't know how to handle it and would stress myself out a lot. But I feel like now I still have worries for post grad, but I know that it'll end up okay just because everything in undergrad has ended up fine. So you guys will be a-okay. I think for me, in terms of the future, I'm less worried about what I'm going to be doing in my gap year before I apply to grad school, more worried about my friends and like leaving everyone. I feel like I was talking to Paul about this in the intro, but I'm just scared about making friends like in my 20s. I feel like that's my main concern because I'm a pretty social person. I like being around people and like hanging out and like living with Grace and all of my friends, but I don't know what I'm going to do when I don't have everyone here. But I know that'll also be okay. But yeah, that's my thing that's making me the most worried for the future.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely nervous about transitioning from school life to like full time. I'm going into industry. So I think doing the 9 to 5 and kind of feeling like there's not really an end date anymore of like sections of life. And it's just kind of now like whatever happens after this. I think that's really stressing me out. And I also think I found really good people at USC. I live with friends and I'm just really happy. I love being in like a walkable community. I love being like just kind of around all the people I'd want to be around a lot. Like it's a very social environment. And I think to sort of lose that and have to rebuild it wherever I end up going next is like a very big fear. So hopefully I find nice people again and hopefully my USC friends come visit because I don't really want my life with them to come to a close once our school comes to a close.
I gonna bring this back to the pre-med stress struggle. So I obviously am hoping to get into medical school within the next couple of years. I am still struggling to decide how many gap years I really should be taking. When I first started my undergrad, I'm like, oh, I'll take one. Seems like a good idea. Do something in between. Now I've increased it to two, and now I'm considering, or like recently I increased it to two, and then now I'm considering a third. And there's a certain point where I'm like, well, is this too many? Am I getting too far away from school? Um, I still very much want to go to medical school, and I really don't see anything else that I'm interested in doing. And I still haven't taken the MCAT yet. So just all the medical school application stuff, preparing myself, making sure I'm the best applicant possible is always kind of looming over my head. Uh, and yeah, it's rough. It's very stressful because if you screw it up, you don't really have that many opportunities. At least it doesn't feel like you do. And the medical school application process is obviously extremely competitive. So you're kind of just lucky to get into a medical school in the United States and hope for the best. So that's where I'm at.
Dang, something that really stuck out was the whole losing friends thing. And now that's all I'm really thinking about. Like, wow. Like, because
It's
after 4 years,
so
you're kind of done.
it's just been on my mind. Like I'm thinking about I'm literally thinking about how I'm going to emotionally prepare to move out of this house and like say bye to Grace when she goes to Colorado. Like I'm so scared, but I think it will be okay. And once we get through it, I will let you guys know how to emotionally prepare for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that like being as I'm in the PDP or in a PDP, and I will be around next year to finish it. That kind of struggle has been looming over my head as well, especially because I've lived with the same roommate for will be 3 years by the time I graduate, and it's going to be very strange having to go to school without like my rock basically of like the people I know in my own house or home basically. Um, and just adapting to that is going to be really strange. Like I'm still on campus, I'm still doing research, still going to class, but everyone I know know most closely isn't really around anymore. I'm not in BME for my PDP, so it's like this is a completely new group of people. And then if I'm taking 3 gap years, it's like I'm hopefully doing some job, an engineering job, preferably with the clinical emphasis on it. It's like, okay, now I'm a productive member of society. No one I know from school is here with me again. It's like I have to be independent. And it's like, well, I haven't done enough of that as part of being at school. I feel like there's this idea that you go to school to learn how to be independent, and then you just kind of learn how to become you learn to work with other people more than you learn how to be independent. And
Yeah, that's true.
when you graduate, you I mean, I guess you go to work and you have to work with other people, but like it takes a while to get to the point where you can do so comfortably, I think. And I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. But I feel like we all kind of share a similar sentiment.
Yeah, I was telling a friend this the other day, but I was like, I want to be a strong, independent woman, but in reality, I hate being alone and I'm really codependent. And I feel like that kind of sums up what college does, though, because you become really reliant on the people who you're around to kind of be your support system, your rock, and help you through classes and things like that. Like you're not going to be able to do it all alone. Like you might need someone to explain concepts. You might like some days like need someone to be like, did you eat enough? Did you get enough sleep? Things like that. And like in college, you're just playing all the roles for all the people who you care about. And so I think to leave that is like the biggest fear.
Ugh, it's so scary. But I was talking to Paul and he was like, yeah, your 20s are really rough. But but they're really fun too. And he's like, maybe like join a book club or like a rock climbing club. I'm like, okay, like I don't know if I'm at that level yet, but maybe I'll get there. We'll see. Girl. But yeah. And all right, on that note, we are going to end the podcast there. Thank you all so much for being here today. I hope our listeners gained a little insight on what they're thinking about or they might be thinking about when they enter college. And also our seniors, if there are any listening, if they related to any of the advice we gave. But thank you all, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Celine, thank you for bringing us this whole conversation. What was your, I think, favorite piece of advice that seniors gave, or like the biggest lesson that you think first-year students should take away from this entire conversation?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that stood out to me when the seniors were just reflecting on their time at USC is just that you need that like worry at the beginning and like the trials and tribulations of college in order to just find yourself in general and find your place at USC. And just knowing that it's all part of the journey is essentially what we all came to a conclusion. So yeah, I think just freshmen knowing that there will be times where you're stressed out, but knowing that it'll all work out in the end. And senior year honestly has been one of the best years that I've had at USC, just because everything falls into place. So just knowing that.
Is there one thing that you would tell your first year self that you would really want her to know? That's something that you were really, really thinking about or worried about?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times underclassmen feel the need to have everything figured out, like their entire like 10 years ahead of themselves. But it's really hard to know what you want to do if you haven't explored everything yet. And so I think that my freshman year self was really worried about wanting to know exactly what route I wanted to go in through engineering, but I couldn't have known that without having tried different research or different internships. So just knowing that you still have so much to experience in your 4 years at USC, and that once you get to that fourth year, you'll have everything a little more figured out.
Well, let me flip the script a little bit. As a senior, what are you now worried about or freaked out about?
Jobs.
Yeah.
And post-grad life. I think for me, it's less of what I'm going to be doing and more of how my life is going to look different in terms of not having all of my friends around me, not having being near USC anymore. I think it's less of actually being able to get a job and more of just how my life will look differently, like socially and things like that. So
right, because you'll have a job.
Yeah, I know I'll have a job, but I just don't know where my friends will be in relation to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, did you ever feel that similarly when you were going off to college? Like you knew you were going to college and you knew that you would probably make friends, but you're a little worried about the friend group that you had in high school, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it ended up working out. Like we're all still friends. We fly out to see each other. So that's nice. So I know it'll be okay. It's just, again, jumping in and being like the new kid again.
Yeah.
Is all scary.
Yeah, I mean, the best answer to make this a flipped experience for you, the best answer is very similar to what you would tell first year students, which is it all works out. And part of growth is going through that experience. Life is experiencing the struggles and figuring out who you are at the other end of it. And I will tell you that, and not to scare you, I think that the 20s, like your 20s post college, are like the hardest time.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I say that, but I also say like things. It's like I've said this before in the podcast. Most of life is like a video game. You just keep leveling up, right? And so like whatever level you're in, you think it's really hard, and then just when you think you've got it mastered, you go on to the next level. You're like, oh, this is all different. Oh my God, I got to figure out how to do this all over again. And those levels tend to be situated in these 4 to 5 year arenas. So high school, college, then the first part of your professional career. And then there's like, family life or, whatever you want to do with a partner, if you want a partner. And it just kind of keeps changing. And every time you feel like you've got it, you're like, damn it, we're on a new thing now. And I got to figure out how to get to that next level.
Yeah, exactly.
And it only starts like, I don't think it ever really slows down. But you start to get used to the fact that in a kind of a meta version of that, when you look down on it all, the only thing you get better at is adjusting to challenges that you don't know the answer to. Like at first it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then you get a little bit older, you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to find out and it's going to be fine. Yeah. You end up being okay with it after you've gone through it multiple times. So it's a really, really fascinating experience, especially for students like engineers, which are usually somewhat type A students. You have to have it all figured out. You like right answers, and you just got to let life experience it, so.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've learned during college is just learning how to, I'm not going to know what's going to happen, but learning how to be okay with that.
No, but the 20s are really weird. I will say that, like, because everybody,
on TikTok.
Well, I bet, yeah. So I think it's because you go from high school and it's almost like a curated experience, like your parents are still there, kind of doing everything, and then you go to college and it's like you're in charge and everybody's with you all the time. It's just, oh my God, we're all here all the time. It's like I got mornings, afternoons, evenings, late night, and we do it all over again. And then college is like no one. And you have to like figure out how to live your life as no one. And then you start realizing, oh, maybe I'll start like, I don't know, joining a kickball team because I need to make friends and like,
or like a book club.
Yeah. It's those types of things where it's like, I don't know, should I go to the after work happy hour to meet people that I haven't met before? And I don't know whether I want to. And alumni groups come into play and like people that live in your building, if you have an apartment building. It's just like this weird kind of like everybody's trying to figure out, are we friends? Are we making friends? Do I want to be friends with you? Because I really have other friends. It's really kind of a weird world. So
yeah.
But it's a fun time too. And that's the other thing too, is that everybody will tell you once you look back on these things, you're like, oh man, those are the good times. But I'll also say, like, as you get older, I do not miss any of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what my 20s bring. I just turned 21 actually last Saturday.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy
birthday. How did you celebrate?
I went to the Berkeley game.
Okay.
So that was exciting.
Very cool.
Really close game.
It was all the way down to the wire.
Yeah.
Not exactly how people thought that was going to happen, but whatever. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you had a good birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you again for bringing this episode. And for everyone else out there, thanks for listening. We will be back with another episode for those ears of yours next week on Viterbi Voices. See you then, everybody. Bye-bye.